Hi everyone, we are finishing up our story about the digestive system with our last stop, the large intestine and the colon. So two things to remember about this part of your digestion. One, in the large intestine is where we reclaim a lot of water. Okay, and it is also considered the seat of our immunity, and I will explain. If everything goes well with our digestion, we have very little to worry about. If things go wrong, these are some things to be aware of. Number one, with that water reclamation, if the stool is in your large intestine for too long, too much water will be reclaimed from the stool and your stool will become pebbly. And now I know a lot of people don't like to look, okay, but I'm telling you, the best way to know what is happening inside of your body is by looking at what comes out. And if your stool is pebbly, you really need to know this, because if it's sitting there for too long, you need to start to get things moving. Now, things that can affect this colon or intestinal motility are, of course, our favorite topics, lack of stomach acid, and most notably, not enough good quality bile. And we've talked about this before, but if your stools are pebbly, or they're hard to come out, or they're dry, or you skip days or something like that, you need to look at what's going on with your bile. The other thing that you really need to know is whether or not you're getting enough fiber. Now, don't in a rush all of a sudden start taking a fiber supplement full of psyllium, because you'll back yourself up. But we do need to get 30 to 40 grams of fiber a day, and most of us get maybe 10 or 12, and that's not enough. So slowly, incrementally, add in some fiber to your diet if you're having difficulties. One of the ways to know whether or not you're slow is something that I think is kind of fun, called the beet test. And if you don't eat a lot of beets, sit down and eat a couple of beets and see how long it takes to get through your whole body and out. And you will know when it comes out, because it's going to be red and you'll forget and you'll be scared and it's all going to be okay. It should take less than 24 hours for you to see that beet come out. If it takes longer, you got some things slowing down and we need to work on that. Now, what if you have the opposite problem and your stools are loose? Well, probably what happened there, again, could be a stomach acid issue. Again, could be, maybe some digestive enzymes, but something ended up in the small intestine that was not digested properly, and the small intestine is treating it like a hot potato, and it just wants to get rid of it as quickly as possible, right? That's what happens when you get food poisoning and stomach flus and stuff like that, right? Stomach bugs. You get loose stool or diarrhea. If something like that goes on for too long, it starts to cause an inflammatory reaction, and you know what happens at the end of that, right? You start to grow polyps. It can even lead to colon cancer. So you need to stay on top of that as well. All right, so the number two issue in the large intestine that you need to be aware of is this whole idea of the seat of your immunity being there. That's where a vast majority of our microbiome lives, all the little good bacteria that we're supposed to have. Now, one round of antibiotics can kill the microbiome in your gut for a year. It takes a year for it to grow back. So even if after taking a round of antibiotics, you're taking a bunch of probiotics and you're eating a bunch of sauerkraut, still takes a year, right? So if you read that article that I sent a couple weeks ago by Micah Pollan about the microbiome, we have hundreds of different types of wee beasties down in our gut. Which is why it takes so long to repopulate them. And just taking probiotics and probiotics foods, it's not really optimal. So that is the reason why I'm so adamant about treating colds and flu as soon as we can and not letting them run their course. Because once your phlegm starts getting all yellow and green and icky, and your doctor wants to give you a round of antibiotics, you end up in this vicious cycle, right? You take the antibiotics, you wipe out the microbiome, but that was what was keeping you, somewhat healthy in the first place. You wipe those out, it takes a year, you catch more colds, you take more antibiotics, and you can see how the vicious cycle just keeps repeating itself, right? So, cold and flu, need to stay on top of them. All right, so, whenever you have low belly issues, just keep in mind that everything that happens in the south starts in the north. The large intestine is called the body's drainage ditch for a reason, because it receives everything else that is going on. So if you want to take care of your lower digestion, start at the top, okay? So if you have any questions at all about anything that I've said, and you need help with something, please, as always, do not hesitate to drop me a line. I would love to hear from you. All right, I will see you again soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.